Hey guys, so welcome back to the channel. Just a short video to touch bases with you guys before the holiday weekend, the 4th of July over here in America. Let's talk about the upcoming statue unveiling happening in Kensington Palace in the sunken garden. Prince Harry arrived back in London about 5 days ago so that he could quarantine. He's quarantined at Frogmore Cottage for the past 5 days, and the statue unveiling actually takes place in London at Kensington Palace. Today we saw Prince Harry step out for the first time. Many people wondering, myself included, whether he brought his own security. Now, I've always been a proponent for Prince Harry bringing his own security, especially seeing as how they were treated immediately before he returned back to London. It's almost as if they tell lies in the press, but think that Harry's just supposed to be all good with it. It's kind of like what they did before Prince Philip's funeral, before Harry went to London. Nothing but lies in the press, but somehow Harry was supposed to be gracious and grateful and respectful in their presence. But I digress. Now, we don't have any confirmation that he brought his own security, but we did see a new face driving him to the WellChild Awards, which I'll talk about in a moment. And a lot of y'all got hard eyes, which, in the one picture that we saw, they did look pretty cute. But on the reason why Harry is there in the first place, he is there to attend the statue unveiling, and that will take place on July 1st, which would have been Princess Diana's 60th birthday. As I mentioned before, the entire ceremony is to take place in the Sunken Gardens at Kensington Palace. You may remember the Sunken Gardens as being the place that Harry and Meghan announced their engagement, officially announcing it, where Meghan had the white coat and they stood there for a second taking questions. Now, in the lead up to the Diana statue unveiling, in addition to the shenanigans and the outright trash that we've seen in the press, there was a certain narrative taking place, basically, as the press does, playing up the royal rift, the rift between Harry and William. And really, for the better part of this year, the statue unveiling has been the thing that has always been talked about in the press, sort of in a recurring fashion, because they knew this was coming up. They knew that Harry was due to return. But in the days before he actually returned, we learned that Harry wanted a neutral journalist because, as he stated before, they are not working with the Royal Rota. And then it came out that the Rota wasn't invited. So it went from the Diana statue unveiling being this big event, which originally that was the plan, to now being this scaled back for COVID event, which, if you think about it, doesn't really make sense given the fact that we just saw Will and Kate at a football game that was attended by thousands of people, and they even brought their child. I'm watching Wimbledon this week, and center court is full like every day. It might not be full to capacity, but ain't nobody wearing no mask. As far as I know, the restrictions in England are nowhere near as stringent as they were. And so given that this event is going to be outside, certainly the 100 guest capacity is something that everybody can deal with in a responsible way, as well as including social distancing. So the fact that that changed suddenly, it kind of makes me wonder. And now they are referring to it as the unofficial statue unveiling. When again, as far as I know, July 1st has always been the date because that's Diana's 60th birthday. I, myself, wonder whether it has to do with the fact that Kate was cut from the list of invitees. It makes sense that Charles and Camilla won't be there. It actually makes sense that the Queen won't be there. But that Kate won't be there? So I think what we see is the press's attempts to rewrite the narrative of the event. Now, I don't have any insider details as to why Kate was going to be on the list and then now she's not. Maybe Harry didn't want her there. Maybe they struck a deal with the Rota that since the Rota wasn't going to be there, that Kate wasn't going to be there. Who knows? But given that she cosplays Diana all the time, it's just a little odd that she's not going to be there. So there's something that went on behind the scenes that hasn't been fully disclosed. But maybe it has more to do with Harry not wanting to see her because, and this is just me assuming, because how can you want to see someone who it just was leaked in the papers just days before you got there that this same individual, Kate, was, quote, wary of your wife from the start. We know William is a bastard, but Kate tries to play innocent when we know her hands are just as dirty as Will's. So I tend to be of the belief that Harry's just not feeling it for her. Now, we already see people running with the narrative that Kate, even though she won't be there, she'll still be behind the scenes playing peacemaker so that the brothers can heal their royal rift. Again, they're recycling the same narratives because we saw it with the Prince Philip funeral. We saw how Will and Kate lingered so that they could then walk in a group with Harry so that then the papers could say, look at Kate, the peacemaker. And then what we saw just days after that was Clarence House making a play for the role of the peacemaker, saying really it was Prince Charles, only to find out this week, according to Robert Lacey, the new mouthpiece for Kensington Palace, that actually Will and Harry supposedly, after they got away from the view of the camera, had an argument. So it's kind of like, which is it? But hey, go ahead and do your thing, British tabloids. Kate is the quote unquote peacemaker, even though she's not there and probably won't ever even be in the same room as Harry while he's there. So the COVID-19 restrictions and protocols, that's just a big old excuse. And they're trying to spin it as if Kate doesn't want to be dragged into the drama. And I gotta say, that's rich coming from someone who just allowed their staff to refer to her brother-in-law's wife as unhinged and damaged goods. So some say she doesn't want to be dragged into the drama. I say she is the drama. She and Will. And I can't blame Harry for not wanting to be around the two of them for any extended period of time, including this statue unveiling. I just don't think Harry has time for the girls. And if the press wants to spin this narrative of Kate the Angel Peacemaker, then they can have at it. Harry's going to be on a flight back to California in just a few hours. So in attendance, in addition to Harry and Will be Princess Diana's close family, including Earl Spencer, her brother, as well as the statue designer and the designer for the Sunken Gardens at Kensington Palace. There will only be 15 guests total, which that was down from 100 guests to just 15. And I think that's really a shame because Diana deserved much more than just that, especially as we're already coming out of the pandemic. But I guess I understand because the Cambridges are so sloppy that the more people there to witness their pettiness and sloppiness, then the less the narrative of the Sussexes being the drama starters actually sticks. Happy 60th birthday to Princess Diana. I know she would be very proud of her son, Harry. And the fact that he married for love and pursued a life that is more in line with the one she was trying to live, I think would make her smile. William, not so much, especially not after he just called her paranoid for telling her truth. But not only that, the way he just allowed his friends in the press to trash Diana, basically calling her a bad mother, saying she was too demanding on William as a child, and she essentially neglected her motherly duties, all in an effort to promote hard-faced Carol Middleton right before Princess Diana's 60th birthday. William, you continue to lower the bar. Let's talk about the WellChild Awards. Prince Harry, once he first emerged from Frogmore Cottage, this property that he paid for to be renovated and pay rent on, and is allowing his cousin to live there rent free. Sorry, I'm being petty. Prince Harry and his driver / security, I'm going to say, emerged from Frogmore Cottage and arrived at the WellChild Awards. Harry was in attendance of the WellChild Awards, along with the likes of Ed Sheeran, singer Anne Marie, and Ronnie Wood of the Rolling Stones. This year, the WellChild Awards were held outside due to pandemic protocols, but fortunately for them, they were able to have more than 15 people in attendance. Now, we know WellChild and the WellChild Awards is one of the things that Harry has always been very passionate about, and he spoke about being a father of 2 and now understanding even more the bravery and the courage that these parents have for their children with special needs and just being a parent in general. He was in conversation with Ed Sheeran, and Ed Sheeran also just had a baby girl, and he asked Prince Harry about his journey as a father, saying that he's still in the trenches with a newborn, but how does he manage having 2 children? And Prince Harry responded, 2 is definitely a juggle, but you can say that again. I gotta say, it's so wonderful to see Harry just in a place where he's talking about the family he's always wanted, and having his boy and having his girl, and just being a dad and being able to relate to other dads. He also gave us a little bit more insight into his home life, speaking very sweetly about Lilibet and Archie, saying, "We've been lucky so far. She's very chilled and seems happy to just sit there while Archie is running around like crazy." I love that. At the event itself, the Duke of Sussex also said, since becoming a patron of WellChild in 2007, this organization and the people within it have held an extraordinarily special place in my heart. I wasn't a father at the time, and yet the stories of these children and parents transcended that. I didn't need to be a dad to feel the impact of this invaluable work. You may remember Harry making a speech at the WellChild Awards, I believe it was last year or the year before that, and getting emotional just thinking about what these parents go through, given that he was a new father. But then in hindsight, we see a little bit more context given what Meghan was going through at the time, on top of just trying to deliver a healthy child. So it's so great for Harry to bring now that context of being a dad of 2, and then also pulling on that strength of all of these parents that he's gotten so close with within the organization, and then meeting those new ones that come along every year at the WellChild Awards. And it's just also great to see him getting in touch and being there, as he said he would, for this organization that he's a patron of. While they tried to take the majority of his patronages away, there are those that he is always going to have a relationship with. And it's great to see him hitting the ground running, even though he's only there for a limited amount of time. And did you notice Harry has some new shoes? That's something that the squad has noticed, and we love the upgrade. My guy really upgraded his life. And as I said, there's something about him being a dad and being handsome and having that California sun that just, he's just giving off that grown and sexy energy. And we love that. We love that. So it's good to see Harry. As always, we'll see what happens with the statue unveiling. By the time you see this video, it'll probably already be, July 1st in England. I don't know what time the unveiling is, but I guess we'll just be posted on Twitter just to see how that goes. Hope it all goes well for Harry, and we know he's going to be on the next thing smoking to get back to his family. So with that, I'll say see you for now, but look out for part 2. Part 2 can only be done after the statue unveiling, and we see what actually went down and how things turned out for our Duke. And while this isn't a longer podcast video, I'll be making more shorter form videos just to keep in touch between those times. Make sure you find me on Twitter at Megan Mood. You can also find me on Instagram at Sussexes. I would love for you guys to say hi. And until next time, peace.